Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the College Town Podcast. My name is Derek DeBurger. With me, as always, Sam Roth.
How we doing?
It's Final Four weekend, baby. Final Four week? Final Four weekend?
In the baby.
Okay, sure.
I mean, that's what you said.
Okay. It's the final. We know the Final Four.
Sort
and
of.
you'll know the women's Final Four by the time this comes out.
Absolutely.
So we talk about that. We talk about all the coaches that have hired in the coaching carousel. We talk about the transfer portal. And, of course, the Kim Mulkey news and the ineptitude that has gone on in the women's tournament, unfortunately. So
She got.
she got. I hope you stick through the end. It's a fun one. Yeah, we'll see you in there.
Yep.
Well, everybody, it is official.
Baseball's back.
Yeah, that's what everyone cares about. The Orioles won their first series 2-1
So did
against
the
the
Reds.
A's.
So did the Reds. So we're both looking pretty good on our baseball prospects. Both have really good teams. But that's not why we're here. Why are we here?
We're here because we're here once a week. Just hit the microphone with my hand.
Yeah.
Didn't you do that? No, the Final Four.
Yeah.
It's a hilarious joke from us.
We're so funny.
Yeah. So the Final Four set. It's
For the men. The women will be set tonight.
so once again, it's continuing the trend of there's at least one team in the Final Four that is seeded 7th or higher. This year it's NC State at 11, which ties NC State ties Syracuse and I think some other schools for the highest seed ever in the Final Four at 11.
Okay.
So, and think about it, they would have been a 12 seed had there not been so many other
Yeah.
bid thieves.
There's actually quite a bit of storylines going on right now. So Purdue could continue the streak of losing to a 16 seed before, winning the national championship next year.
Oh, it's not really a streak.
Well, if it call it a coincidence.
If it's happened once, it's not a streak.
Well, and then you also
they could
have
start the streak.
well, let me just say are some storylines, not streaks or whatever, but you also have NC State. Last time a team went 5 wins in 5 days in the conference tournament was UConn. They won the national championship. You have UConn, who's trying to become the first team since Florida to go back to back.
First team since Florida to
2000.
make the national, or make the Final Four.
Yeah.
After winning the national championship the year before.
Yep. And then there's Alabama.
Yes.
Who's just happy to be there, first time there.
Honestly, crazy that Alabama's there.
Good.
I'm genuinely shocked.
I mean,
But
if you think about their road that they had, they beat Charleston, then they beat Grand Canyon,
mm-hmm.
and then they beat North Carolina, and then they beat a 6 seed Clemson.
Yeah, which Clemson had opportunities in that game. They just kind of blew it. But
I mean,
it's Alabama's first ever Final Four, so obviously it's Nate Oates' first ever Final Four
NC State's first Final Four since, I believe, the shot.
since Jimmy
1983.
V. Yeah,
Yeah.
they beat Phi Slamma Jamma.
And then
National
has
championship.
Purdue ever been to the Final Four?
Yes, they have not been since 1980.
Oh, okay.
Mhm.
And then you have the defending champs in it. So
Yeah.
I would say there's obviously a clear favorite and then the clear second place.
Yes, absolutely.
I mean, there's clearly UConn's the favorite, and then there's Purdue. So it'd be interesting to see if NC State could beat Purdue, if Alabama can just outscore UConn.
NC State can beat Purdue. I'm
Really?
going to say that right now. Yes.
Really?
Yes.
Because the spreads are ridiculous right now. I think both spreads are right now hovering over double digits for
Yeah.
both games.
NC State can beat Purdue. They can match up in some way with Edey as far as Burns because he's a big presence down there. He's very, very big. Also, he's very quick. He's got incredible footwork down low. And it's going to be interesting to see his passing ability because that's one of the things that has made him so good is whenever he does get doubled, he's so tall and he's such a good passer that he kind of can just see over who doubles him. But if one of the guys doubling you is 7'4", that's going to make it harder.
It sure will.
So I would expect to see a lot of doubles from Purdue because one of the guys doubling you is going to be 7'4". So That's what I would expect. But they have the guard play, and that's what makes or break Purdue is guard play. DJ Horn is fantastic.
He is.
McConnell is a solid guard. Diarra, he kind of plays that like backup center, power forward role. He's good. I think he matches up well with Purdue. NC State can win that game. I don't. Anyone saying that they can't, I think is.
Well, I think if you've gotten this far in the tournament, you have a shot to win any game, basically.
Yeah.
I mean, at this point, even last round, Elite Eight, I would say, is when you really start to see like, okay, these last 8 teams are really good teams, or they're on really good burners.
Yeah.
And they're performing at a high level right now. So I think anything's possible on that end. What do you think about the women's end right now with South Carolina has punched their ticket and NC State has also punched their ticket on that side too?
Yes.
With USC and UConn playing tonight.
It's going to be a great game.
And then you also got Iowa versus LSU tonight. I think both games are going to be great.
I mean, by the time this comes out, the Final Four will be set for women as well.
It sure will be, but we don't know.
The world is rooting for Iowa right now.
Yes.
And then Baton Rouge is rooting for LSU.
Well, see, what's interesting, though, is that, like, out of all the teams right now, I would have to say, in a way, I am probably an NC State fan right now. I think I'm an NC State fan for both.
Who are the other 2 teams in the Elite right now?
So you got USC, Juju Watkins.
USC and, UConn, that's right.
USC and UConn play each other, and then you've also got Iowa and LSU with an undefeated South Carolina already punched their ticket in NC State. I think I'm just an NC State fan for the remainder of this basketball season.
Yeah.
I think
why not? It'd be nice to see on the women's side. It'd be nice to see Juju Watkins get one because she's fantastic.
It would also,
or Iowa, honestly.
To be fair, Watkins does have 3 more years of this.
Yeah. So I guess I'd say I'd rather see Caitlin Clark win over Juju Watkins now. Just because there's more time.
My favorite player in the tournament right now is obviously Paige Beckers.
Paige Beckers is really good. That's kind of a hot take. I'm not gonna lie.
Really, she's hilarious.
Is she funny?
Oh my God, she's hilarious.
I
like her personality a lot. There's just something about her, man. She's great. I've never really liked a UConn player, but I really like her.
All right.
Yeah, and then I don't know, NC State.
I didn't think that we were gonna go in that direction today, but yeah.
No. I mean, genuinely, she's pretty funny.
I don't really know much about Paige Beckers other than she's very good at basketball.
She's extremely good.
And
Don Staley had high praise for her.
A lot of ACLs.
She has. Don Staley has said that she is one of the greatest of her generation, which I think is a lot coming from that coach.
It's kind of crazy. She does get overshadowed by Caitlin Clark and LSU.
Yeah.
Angel Reese.
Well, it's also she's just been injured. She hasn't been on the court.
Yeah, that's a big part of it.
So it's the eyeballs haven't been recognized by it. You do also want the young kids on the block to show and shine. You want. I feel like in any sport, you cheer for the rise and then you cheer for the fall.
Yeah.
As any neutral fan does.
Yep, pretty much.
So I mean, it would be nice to have some variety with, you would kind of want to see Iowa LSU, it doesn't matter. It's a national championship rematch of last year.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean that game doesn't matter, but you kind of want to see okay, Juju Watkins, show me what you got against UConn. Let's see if you can do it as a 1 seed.
Yeah.
And I think they're not favored as the 1 seed. I think UConn is.
It's probably just because it's UConn.
Yeah.
The money's going to go to UConn.
Right, but
they're going to back the horse they know.
All right, so who are your picks, men and women?
Oh,
so you got 6 team in the women and you got 4 team in the men's.
All right, so for this is not going to be fun. This is going to be.
Are you just going to go with the favorites?
I mean, it's just straight chalk right now, honestly.
Are you going for the
You know what? No. For the men's, I'm going to go with Purdue. I think Purdue.
Interesting.
Because, I mean, the safer bet is obviously
UConn
because they think they have the better chance to actually make it.
Yeah.
Not that obviously Alabama's offense is ridiculous. Their defense is just so porous.
Yes. And also, I think what's interesting about UConn is that you don't know on any given night who's going to be the top scorer, which I think is what makes that team so lethal. Is they can go to Cam Spencer, they can go to Stephen Castle, they can go to Tristan Newton, they can go to Donovan Clingan.
Yeah.
And so there's so many options. They also have that other white guy, Alex Carabon.
Yeah.
So I mean
something like that.
All of them have multiple 20-point games.
I mean,
this year.
it's such a complex offense that there's so many set plays that like, oh, this guy's shooting well tonight. All right, we'll just run one of our like 24 plays for this guy.
Right.
And it's like, okay.
And then like for the other 3 teams that are in the tournament, men's wise, it's really just 2 elite players on each team with a decent supporting cast.
I mean, feel like DJ Horn does not get the respect that
no,
he
but I'm
deserves,
saying like
he's really good. But
that's what I'm saying. No, that's what I'm saying. It's DJ Horn and DJ Burns. That is
I thought you were talking about Burns and Edey.
No, I'm talking like 2 on each team.
Oh, okay.
So like you have Braden Smith and you have Edey. You have DJ Horn. You have DJ Burns. Alabama, it's Mark Sears and the big white guy. I can't think of his name.
Grant Nelson.
Right, exactly. And who went off against Clemson.
I wouldn't put
it's
Alabama and Purdue in the same like sort of category as NC State, because I think the top 2 in NC State, you know, like the average of them the average might be the same, but I think it's because there's such a big gap between Edey and Braden Smith and then Mark Sears and Grant Nelson. I think Grant Nelson's really good.
He went off against Clemson.
Yeah. And he played really well down the stretch against UNC too.
Mm-hmm.
But I do think that they're like the star, and then there's kind of everyone else.
Right. I think, I mean, obviously, not UConn. UConn. What am I saying? UConn is the most complete team. I'm giving my team.
UConn's incredible.
Yeah. So
UConn is a championship away from solidifying themselves as the premier program for the next 5 to 7 years.
Yeah. I mean, and they've really, really earned it.
It's insane. It's insane.
Yeah.
Because it's kind of out of nowhere too.
Yeah, in a way, yeah.
Like he steadily got better, and then they just won it all last year.
Yeah.
And in dominant fashion. Like out of their last 10 NCAA tournament games, the closest game was a 13-point win against Miami in the Final Four last year.
Right. And what's ridiculous is that Dan Hurley is just insane, because he basically came out and said, they're like, so what does it take to basically blow out teams like this you've done game in and game out? He goes, I basically have said to our guys that we can't close out close games, so we got to blow them out, basically. Like, they were up 52 to like 16 against Stetson, and he was pissed off at the fact that they were letting off the gas and being lackluster in the last 4 minutes of the first half, up almost 40 points, basically. And it's like, oh, he's like, that's not championship level. Like, he's talking to Tracy Wolfson, I believe is her name.
Yeah.
He's like, that's not championship level. We want to be championship level. We can't have those last 4 minutes. So, like, I think every game he realizes you got to treat it like a championship game, and I think that's why they're so insanely good, is because they've just been so consistent with it.
Mm-hmm. All right, well, before we, I guess, move on to other stuff,
Yeah.
I mean, is there anything else you want to?
I mean, not really. My picks are South Carolina and UConn because I'm boring.
Yeah, it's probably South Carolina and Purdue, I think.
Would love to see some parity, but
yeah, but
if UConn wins, I win some money. So
here's a fun little bit of trivia for you.
Sure.
Can you name all the teams in men's basketball with double-digit Final Four appearances? I'll give you a hint. There are 8, I think.
Double-digit Final Four appearances?
Yes, there are 8.
Okay, so obviously UCLA.
Yep.
We're going to assume Duke.
Yep.
We're going to assume UNC.
They're number 1, actually.
Okay. Kansas?
Yes.
Maybe Houston?
No. You're missing a big one.
Kentucky?
Yeah. That's your top 5 right there.
That's your top 5. How many is it?
8.
8?
You got 3 more.
3 more. Michigan, maybe?
No.
Villanova?
Nope.
Not Virginia?
Nope.
Louisville?
Yes.
Michigan State?
Yes.
And
this last one is a tricky one.
Houston?
You already said Houston, no.
So I'm trying to run through who I said. So Villanova.
What's a good program?
Georgetown?
No. Just a good program. Like,
good.
Probably top 25 program. I think you could say that without a doubt, but it's a good program.
I'm trying to remember our tier list.
Think out loud. What are you thinking?
All right, so I'm going through like Big East teams. So I'm like Providence, no. Seton Hall, no. St. John's, no. I'm just thinking Big East teams because that's where I feel like it would be Connecticut.
No. This is going to be Connecticut's 7th Final Four appearance.
Okay. I'm also just trying to think of like really good teams. So I was like Michigan, Fab Five. I was thinking UNLV, but they were only good in the 90s. I'm also thinking like I've said Michigan. I've said Indiana.
Not Indiana.
Really?
They have 8.
Indiana is interesting because I was like, Bobby Knight.
They have 5 championships, but they only have 8 appearances in the Final Four.
So not Georgetown. Syracuse?
No. Syracuse, I think, had 6 appearances. I could be wrong about that one.
Jim Boeheim.
Yeah, it's all Jim
obviously
Boeheim.
not Virginia because Tony Bennett's only been relevant, and then they have Ralph Sampson.
I'll give you a hint of conference. It's the Big Ten.
Really?
Yeah.
So Illinois?
Not Illinois.
Indiana, no. Michigan, no. Michigan State was a yes.
Yes.
Who is a good conference in the Big Ten? It's not Penn State. They haven't been relevant.
No, Penn State's terrible basketball.
Rutgers hasn't been that great.
Nope.
Who am I missing? Not Minnesota.
No. It's come on, you're overthinking it, I think.
I can't think of the teams right now. Northwestern?
No, they only have like 3 tournament appearances.
I'm just trying to think of Big Ten schools right now.
You want me to tell you?
No, I'm gonna get
okay.
this. Oh my gosh. So I mean, like, there's Purdue.
It's not Purdue because I think this
I
is
said Purdue,
3rd.
Illinois, Wisconsin.
Not Wisconsin. That's a good guess though, but no.
Who am I forgetting?
Good program.
Good program.
Yeah, it's a good program. Top 25.
Ohio State.
Yes.
Really?
They have the 6th most Final Fours of all time.
Really?
They have 11.
Wow.
They have more than Louisville and Michigan State.
Really? When were they that good?
They made a lot in the 60s.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Because I was like,
I mean, their most recent, I think, was 2007.
yeah, they're decent.
I think they lost in the national championship in 2007
Oh,
to Florida.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So those are your 8.
Okay, so Ohio State, Louisville, Michigan State, and then your 5 blue bloods.
Yes.
Gotcha.
Yeah. It was interesting to me that Indiana only has 8.
Right.
It's not shocking at all that UConn only has 7 now. Because their dominance has basically been in the 2000s and beyond.
Right.
They were good in the 90s too, but yeah.
In a weird way, I was almost like Arizona, but I was like, no way.
Yeah. Arizona was not even.
No.
They were not on the list. Actually, I don't even know how many Final Fours Arizona has.
They had, I know Richard Jefferson and Gilbert Arenas had 1 at least.
I don't know. Let's look at Arizona is one of those teams that's like just known for being choke artists come March.
I mean, they're good out west. It's just there's that line that kind of got moved for like where the national championship is, and all the teams east of it have won.
They have 4 Final Fours.
Yeah, I thought they were a decent program.
They are a good program.
Mm-hmm.
They're just not, as far as like out west's programs, they're like number 2. They're behind UCLA.
Yeah, it really depends on what you define as west too, because like if you throw Texas in it, then it's like Baylor and Houston right now, or good.
I would even say, I think historically, I would say that Arizona's slightly better than Houston.
Because it's also interesting because if you count Texas, then you also got to count Kansas. Because it's like, in a weird way, I kind of consider West, and this is just me being biased here, is like west of the Mississippi in basketball terms.
I mean, a lot of people do. Like, St. Louis is the gateway to the West.
Right. So
that's what the arches are.
Mm,
It's the gateway. The
Well,
more you know, yeah.
I actually knew that, but yeah.
All right.
All right, cool.
Let's move on.
Sure, let's go for it.
Fun
little game.
What do you want to talk about? Kim Mulkey or the blunders of the women's?
Let's go with the blunders of the women's and segue into Mulkey.
Yep.
So, NC State, who is in the Final Four right now, they've had a couple of games where they've had some issues. The first round matchup against Chattanooga, one of the refs was an alumni of Chattanooga. So they've had to change that ref in midway through the game at halftime.
Yeah, they got, I think, some graduate degree at Chattanooga.
Right.
Didn't disclose that, which
right,
is insane.
It's like, what's going on? Also, in the NC State-Texas game, the Elite Eight game, winner obviously goes to the Final Four.
Mm-hmm.
It's also considered a massive game. It's basically 4 champions play for the national championship That's how they basically advertise it. Final Four, you put up a banner 9 times out of 10 unless you're an elite program.
Yeah.
So there's massive implications on this game. Plus, also, this probably happened more times than we think because now there's only 2 regions for the Sweet 16s. So it's like one region here, and one region here, and one region here, and one region here play each other in the same area. So odds are this court, for those of you who don't know, the 3-point lines on the court, I forget which region it exactly was. But
Portland.
Portland.
Yeah.
The 3-point lines were different. One had the old women's 3-point line, and one had the current 3-point line.
Yeah, on the same court, the different sides.
Yeah, different sides of the court. So it turned out that the old 3-point line, which is actually shorter distance than the current one, the team shot a lower field goal percentage. I truly believe it's because of muscle memory.
Yeah, I think you're exactly right.
And so that's why I think there was misses. They realized it before the game. Rather than delaying the game, they decided that both teams agreed to play the game with the messed up 3-point line. It's also ridiculous at this stage of the game and level that that's even a possibility.
It goes to what we have talked about. Both of these things go to what we have talked about the entire time we've done the show. It is that the NCAA simply does not care about women's basketball, which is absurd. It's ridiculous. If you want the sport to be taken seriously, you have to take the sport seriously. Pay refs a reasonable amount. Make sure that they're adequately trained and disclose stuff like this. Make sure that all the lines are regulation. Like, this is the stupidest thing. Like, how it's so embarrassing.
So at the very minimum, at least for when they realize this, so the other Elite Eight game in Portland is being played tonight, the day that we're recording this, and the other Elite game was played yesterday. There was also 4 Sweet 16 games that were played on this court.
Yeah.
2 in one region, 2 in the other region, because they decided to simplify the regions down into...
Because of money.
Right. So at a very minimum, there's 5 games that went on this court where the dimensions were wrong, and it took until the 5th game for players to realize. And the players realized to say something, and they took out a measuring tape and measured it.
Before that, I don't know if you saw the coaches just measuring it with their feet.
No, I did not.
Both Wes Moore and Vic Schaefer were just measuring the court with their feet, like different like foot lengths,
like just to see how many feet it was off or whatever. Which is,
or just to see like how like long it took.
Which is like, it's ridiculous. I mean,
yeah, no, we have said it. We have harped on this over and over again.
I mean, like, that can be avoided. Both of those things can be avoided, obviously. Yeah. I mean, yeah, it's someone didn't do their job on both of those instances. And it's really unfortunate to see in the women's game. But also, I would say right now, the women's game at least has drawn more eyes and more attention, mainly because of Caitlin Clark, I would say. And also,
not the viewership-wise, I don't think.
I mean, the West Virginia-Iowa game was the most viewed game of the second round in the history of the women's basketball.
Yeah.
So there's that going for it. Also, in a little way, shout out to LSU for being the antagonist this year.
No, not shout out to LSU. I hate them. I hate Mulkey is who I hate.
Point proven. Speaking of Mulkey, let's get to it. It's definitely a good segue.
Yeah. No, the much anticipated article from the Washington Post came out about Mulkey. And it was a lot more tame than I thought.
Yeah, it basically just gave an insight into her life from when I didn't realize that she was a baller at Louisiana Tech.
Oh, she was good.
I didn't know that, so I learned that in the article. And then also, the main takeaways that I took from it was, like, obviously, it was the remarks of her being homophobic to players at Baylor.
Yeah, which we already knew some of that.
Where we knew some of it due to Brittany Griner and stuff along those lines. But then also the fact of her upbringing in her life and how, like, I think the most surprising thing to me was that she hasn't talked to her dad in like 37 years.
That's not surprising at all.
No, I mean, like,
it's something I didn't know, but it was
no,
not
it's something
surprising.
that you don't know, but I mean, like, it is a little disheartening.
Sure.
Right.
I mean, not for her. I don't care about her, but
I know, we know that.
Yeah. No, it's like it kind of just feels like, okay, yeah. None of this shocks me.
No.
Like, when you hear investigative piece about Kim Mulkey, you're like, oh my God, how many cats does she eat in a month?
I mean,
You
it was like, what skeletons does she have in the closet? And it's like
her closet is just it's open concept. Like
I mean,
you can see everything in there.
I mean, like honestly, I was hoping for a deep dive into something, but I
That
guess
was a deep dive.
I mean, it definitely was a deep dive. I mean, like it wasn't like anything
You
that
wanted to
wasn't.
rip her to shreds.
Well, I was like, ooh, what do we not know? And it's like,
We kind of
already knew it.
the things that we don't know are not shocking.
No.
Her suspending a player who came out as gay for the rest of the season, which in effect ended their career because they were a senior. I didn't know that. Not shocking. Her not speaking to her family for like 37 years. I didn't know that. Not shocking.
But I mean, like everything that the Washington Post, from what I saw, that put together, it wasn't anything new. It was just pieces from memoirs of Brittany Griner's and Mulkey's and.
Yeah, but I mean, a lot of people don't go out and do their own research, like not even your own research. A lot of people don't like compile those materials, you know. So if you just put it in one place, it's like, yeah, this is a document for like all these things.
Like the only quote that I really saw that stood out to me that was in Brittany Griner's memoir. It said, in quote, Mulkey told her to, when it came to her sexuality, to keep it behind closed doors.
Yeah,
So
monster. The only thing is like she's a little more homophobic than I thought she would be, but
it's kind of crazy considering that you coach a sport which is dominated by lesbians. I don't know if that's politically correct what I just said, but
I don't think lesbian's an offensive word. You're not.
no, I mean like I think that's correct, right?
There's a lot of gay people in women's basketball. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's stupid. She's a stupid person. Like I don't know what to say.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean that's it. Really.
I mean, yeah.
A little bit of a letdown, but
Yeah, what are you going to do?
yeah, what are you gonna do? All right.
And the carousel continues for coaches.
Yes, the coaching carousel. The biggest one while we were gone, of course, Pat Kelsey to Louisville. We are Louisville fans.
We sure are. What do you think about this hire as a Louisville fan? As someone who said you don't want Pat Kelsey.
He was the one guy that I was like, not Pat Kelsey. And we got Pat Kelsey.
You got Pat Kelsey.
I'm trying to be optimistic about it.
I'm optimistic about it. I like the hire.
He's fundraising for NIL, which is great. We're going to have a lot more money. Like, we were already going to have a lot of money in NIL, Louisville, that is. The rumored number was $3 to $4 million.
Mm-hmm.
That was part of their pitch to try and get Scott Drew. It's like, hey, you're going to have so much more money in NIL here than you're going to have at Baylor.
That happened, but
and so, like, the first thing Pat Kelsey did was when he got the job was just call big money donors. It was like, hey, give me some more. So he's got the right personality. Defenses have been terrible the entire time he's been a coach. None of his teams are athletic, and that's been by design, but it'd be interesting to see his system with better athletes in it. I remain cautiously optimistic.
Yeah. For me, I'm more optimistic about the hire because everywhere he's gone, he's been quote unquote successful to an extent.
No, he's been successful.
Right. He
has almost a 700 winning percentage in his career.
Right. So he's won at Winthrop. He's won at Charleston. He was an assistant at Xavier. He was an assistant at Wake.
Yeah. The one thing that does make me feel a little bit better about the whole thing is that he recruited guys like Jeff Teague, Al-Farouq Aminu to Wake Forest, and was not the main recruiter, but helped recruit Chris Paul.
Yeah, he helped recruit Chris Paul too.
So,
because that was one of the questions that came up in his press conference was, "You never recruited at this level." He goes, "I have." He goes, "I was at West Virginia. I mean, not West Virginia. I was at Wake Forest and recruited there." Xavier, he recruited at that level. Was a part of the Final Four team at Xavier. I believe so.
Xavier, I don't think has made the Final Four.
I thought with Chris Mack they did.
No.
Oh, they were a 2 seed and then like lost or whatever. My bad. But so when it comes to the hire, I'm optimistic about the hire. He's definitely has the record of winning. also one of these new era of coaches, in my opinion, where it's like they asked him about what does he think about NIL and all this stuff. He goes, you have to utilize it. It's the new way of things. He goes, also, I think it's perfectly fine for a player to enter the portal and see what their options are. He was like, look, I just left a school and came to a new school. It's only fair that they have the same opportunities as well.
Yeah.
So,
I mean,
I definitely like those words from him. And it's not like this old school of coaching.
yeah, a similar hire to me is actually, you know what? Well, first we'll talk about, to bring it full circle, Charleston, who they hired to replace Pat Kelsey, was Chris Mack.
Yeah, it's kind of
fired Louisville coach. He didn't. He
Well, it's not even
he was
fired.
gonna get fired.
So
but
it is.
He
It
negotiated
is even
by
more
him.
circles to this because Pat Kelsey was the assistant under Mack at Xavier.
Yeah, Pat Kelsey actually quit coaching for a year.
Oh.
He quit coaching to leave Mack's staff and then started coaching after that.
Mm.
I don't think they like each other that much.
Oh, you think
that's just me saying that? But yeah.
reading into it a little bit?
Yeah. It's interesting. Charleston their athletic director has come out and said that they're trying to be the Gonzaga of the East, which is really, like, they're putting a ton of money into basketball. And Chris Mack is a great hire if you're trying to do that.
Yeah, and
he's a guy that's not going to, he's not a Mark Few.
Well, you also have to get a guy like Mark Few who is willing to stay and build something like that.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah, I think Chris Mack, once there's enough success there, he'll go to another job. But yeah, it'll definitely be interesting because Charleston has more NIL than most mid-major schools.
Oh yeah,
like,
I could see it.
A lot more NIL than most mid-majors.
They could definitely become the dominant team in the, I believe it's the CAA.
Yes. Yes.
It could become like the Vermont of the American East, or the who's another team that always makes the tournament? Gonzaga. The WCC. Yeah.
But that's interesting. But something that was a hire that's really similar in my eyes as Pat Kelsey to Louisville is Darian DeVries to West Virginia. That's an interesting one. He comes from Drake. They made the tournament.
It is another mid-major jump for another coach.
Yeah. It's interesting to see if he will. It's interesting to see how well he'll do because his son Tucker DeVries, who was transferred to West Virginia,
extremely good.
He's like one of the 50 best players in the sport.
Yeah,
and next year when people graduate, he's just going to be even higher on that list. Like he's very good, and so it's interesting to see. It will be interesting to see if Darian DeVries is that good an X's and O's guy, or if he's kind of riding the coattails of his son. It could be both, by the way. Like Greg McDermott was not an elite level coach until Doug McDermott came to Creighton with him, and then he had this elite player in Creighton, and then once he left, he just kind of kept it going a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Like Greg McDermott's career was just like getting a job somewhere and then leaving for another job before that place fires you.
Right.
Because, yeah, he had a sustained period of not success and then went to Creighton and then just got really good. So it'd be interesting to see Darian DeVries, how he works out of West Virginia. West Virginia is a good job. I know you hate West Virginia, but
Sure
it is a good job.
Yeah, it is. Huggins has definitely built a program there.
Yeah, but even before Huggins, they had
I don't know Huggins.
Michigan's old coach. I can't John Beilein. John Beilein used to be the coach of West Virginia.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, so that'll be interesting. Another one is Mark Byington. Went to Vandy. He was James Madison's coach this year.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
That's an interesting one because Mark Byington is a job that when it does open up, I will be looking at very closely is Michigan State.
Okay.
Because Izzo's going to retire at some point. You don't know when, but he's going to retire at some point.
Maybe.
He's just that age. He's got to retire soon.
He does.
I think so. But
I mean, like, you could probably say the same thing about Houston with Kelvin
Sampson. Yeah. But the thing with Michigan State's a better, like, it has more stature than Houston. But also, Mark Byington is Izzo's nephew. Used to be on Michigan State's staff. That'll be really interesting to see if he, if that's like a dream job for him. Also,
Go back to Sparty.
Nate Oates is someone to watch out. I think to watch out for Michigan State because he is a Midwest guy. He's from Wisconsin, coached high school basketball in Michigan.
I don't know. I think I kind of have a take about Nate Oates where I think he might be at Alabama for the long run.
We'll see.
I think
Potentially.
from the amount of money that he's definitely built good programs last year. He was the 1 seed this year. They're in the Final Four.
Yeah, last year the number 1 overall seed.
Right. So I mean, like he's definitely built a very competitive ball team there with a really good program, with some really good players, and he's definitely got the NIL money because if he's even getting a sniff of that football money coming in, plus with the donors that they have, it seems like a really good job to not even want to leave.
I mean, sometimes it's hard to quantify, like...
I mean, if the money's good, the team's good, why not just stay there and build something?
Sometimes it's hard to put a price on, like... Tradition or, like, a childhood, like, dream. Like, I don't know what is in, his head, his heart, what he wants.
I mean, just signed an extension, so there's that.
So... People sign extensions and then leave all the time.
I mean, it costs a lot of money to get out of them.
Yeah, but...
It's to help secure you as a coach and also the university. It's a win-win for both.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm just interested whenever the Michigan State job opens up.
Who will get it?
Yes. And also
Kelsey.
Kentucky, whenever that opens up. Because I feel like that'll open up not that long.
It could be
now.
sooner rather than later.
It could be.
It really depends on what happens next March.
Yeah. But, so... This one is not official yet, but it's interesting.
It's not?
No. SMU, they fired their coach, Rob Lehner, which why? I thought he did a good job.
They announced that it's because they are moving to the ACC and they want to be competitive with a well-known basketball conference.
Yeah, but...
I mean, I admire it. If you really want to shoot for the stars and you don't want to face mediocrity and be stuck there, you do have to make some changes. Like
he was he was in year 2, though. He was building a program. They won 20 games in year 2. It was 10 more than the year before.
I mean, we just fired our coach in year 2.
That's not the same thing. He won 30 games compared to
12.
Payne's 12, yeah. Anyway, so with SMU being open and now being a power conference job, they're like, well, we're trying to make a big splash. And the name they're going after is Andy Enfield.
Who is Andy Enfield, for those of us who don't know?
USC's coach.
Interesting.
Good coach, good recruiter. USC had a terrible year this year.
Very bad year.
I don't understand how. They have talent on that team. I don't get it. It kind of defies all logic. But Andy Enfield at SMU would be very interesting. The rumor is he's going to take that job. They're probably just waiting for his buyout to drop on today, actually. Buyout drops today, April 1st.
Interesting.
So the rumor was they're waiting for today for his buyout to drop. The other rumor is that once he leaves for SMU, USC is going to hire Eric Musselman.
Arkansas's coach.
Yes.
So that will be...
That's a good job. That's a good job.
It's a good coach. Last year was a really good coach. This year.
Yeah, these are two coaches that are...
Eric Musselman reminds me of like Jerome Tang. As far as like recency bias goes. Really good last year. This year kind of fell.
Jerome Tang's only in year 2, though.
Right, I know. I don't know how long Musselman's been at Arkansas, but...
this was year, I believe, 4 or 5.
So, I'm just saying, like, recency, though. It's like...
Yeah, but...
The ebb and flow.
Yeah, and then beyond that, there was a rumor that once Musselman goes to USC, then Arkansas would hire Chris Beard. Now we're just getting into speculative territory, but the Andy Enfield and Eric Musselman stuff, that seems a little more concrete.
So, Ole Miss... Chris Beard leaves Ole Miss, and then let's see, where does this carousel go? And then who knows what Ole Miss gets?
Ole Miss is not that good a job, so who knows what they do.
Right. Ole Miss hasn't been relevant in basketball ever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you think the furthest in the tournament Ole Miss has gone?
I mean, they probably won 2 games at one point. They probably got a Sweet 16.
All right. I think it's the round of 32. That's my guess.
Sweet 16. I am going to say they got 2 wins one year.
And nope, Sweet 16. You're right. In 2001, they made the Sweet 16.
I mean,
that
all
is
it
the
takes is-
furthest they've ever been.
I mean, you can win. Any team, I feel like, can win 2 games in 2 days, in 3 days.
Yeah, but they only have 4 tournament wins in their history. That's crazy.
I know.
It's not a good program.
No, it
As
is
far
not.
as basketball goes, it's not a good program. But that's where the carousel stands as of now.
Right, and it will continue to go until we about get ready for the season to start.
Yep. You want to talk about the transfer portal?
Go for it.
I mean, you are more caught up than me on the
I
portal.
mean, there's not too much when it comes to the portal, really. It's just like I'm shocked at the fact that guys have already entered their names and have already committed to places. Like Michael Ajayi from Pepperdine has already committed to Gonzaga. I mean, definitely tampering here. Tucker DeVries has already committed to West Virginia.
He's following the coach.
No.
Anyone who follows their coach, that's whatever. Like,
Jacoby Gillespie from Belmont to Maryland are some notable ones. Obviously, as a Louisville fan, I'm following it a lot just because our entire team, minus Tyler Johnson, is in the portal at this moment. So, as far as scholarship players go. So, I mean, like, I just think it's fascinating on how you can be in the portal for 3 days and already know where you're going.
it's tampering, baby.
Yeah, which is, like, why wouldn't you investigate it? I mean,
Quadir Copeland into the portal. That's interesting. Quadir Copeland's from Syracuse. I think he's very good.
oh, there's some players that I really like the Harvard kid. What's his name? Malik Mack. I really like him. There was the top 5-star, first 5-star recruit from Iowa State that was just playing behind a couple of guys.
Their center?
No, the Jalene Hamilton. No, it was where is it? Let me look.
Jelani Hamilton.
I don't think it's him. I don't know the team that well. It is. There it is.
Yeah, it's the center.
Yep.
Or power forward. Whatever.
Right. It was what's his name? Why can't I think of Iowa State's coach's name?
TJ Otzelberger.
Osselberger. Yeah. It was one of his first 5-star recruits, and he just didn't really get minutes this year. As a Louisville fan, I would love to see Hatfield Huntley come back, but other than that, good riddance to the rest of them.
I don't know. That's a conversation for another day. But I think I've talked about this. I think consistency trumps talent acquisition in the portal.
Can you elaborate on that?
I think to be a high level program on a consistent basis now, I think you need to use the portal as like a supplemental. I don't know if that's the right word.
Is it like a plug and play style to where you got your team using a plug in some gaps here?
I think you need to, like, if you have, let's say you have $1 million in NIL.
Okay.
The bulk of that $1 million needs to be spent on keeping players returning. You need a good foundation of high school recruiting. I think this is like an ideal world for me if I'm a coach. You got to keep as many guys as you can that you want. You have to have guys that you think are going to. You have to recruit high school guys that you think are going to be 3 to 4 year players, and the occasional maybe 1 or 2 5-star or one and dones if you can, and then go out and get guys in the portal where A, you need spots, and B, like, oh, that guy's in the portal, that guy's incredible, let's bring him in. I think you can't really function every single year bringing in 8 new guys.
No.
It just doesn't work.
It definitely doesn't. But then also what's interesting about the portal is that, quote unquote, you don't know who's going to be in the portal year in and year out. Whereas, like, recruiting, you know who is available.
Yeah.
You know who's available 4 years out. 3
Yeah,
years
but
out.
also you can work back channels, figure some stuff out. Like, there's tampering that goes on.
Once again, you technically don't know who's going into the portal and who's not.
Yeah.
Technically.
Some schools are starting to hire on their staff like GM positions,
Oh yeah. So
which I think is a great idea.
So there's actually something interesting now. I believe it might be Texas Tech. I don't know if I told you this or not already, or if it was someone else.
I don't think I've heard anything about that.
But it might be Texas Tech or another football program. But what has become a common theme now is they hired personnel departments, scouting departments now within their program, where they go and scout talent, and then they tell coaches who to recruit. So where it takes the complete scouting out of the coach's hands, and they don't have to worry about it anymore. They just go out and recruit, and they're told the guys who to recruit.
Well, coaches are the best coaches tend to be control freaks.
No.
Detail-oriented. They're probably going to look at stuff themselves.
Absolutely,
but yeah, they give them kind of a rundown of like,
they probably give them a short list.
These people are good. These people suck.
Right. They're like, don't waste your time with these. Here's the short list. Out of these 5 guys, you get one person to offer. You take your pick on who you want. Because it is a common thing in football, at least, where the position coach decides who they want to offer at the position, because that's who they're going to end up coaching.
And also, it has been commonplace for a little bit now of recruiting rooms for football, where you'll have an entire staff that's just their only job is to recruit.
Right.
Like, it's very commonplace for these SEC schools to have like 60 people staffs of recruiting rooms.
Yep.
And now that's infiltrating basketball a little bit, which I think is smart. I think it's a good thing.
In a way, it makes sense. In a way, it doesn't. Because, I mean, obviously, if the revenue is making it to where you're obviously able to do that, good on you. Continue to do it. Try to build a program to the best of your abilities with the amount of resources that you're able to obtain. Also, at the same time, though, it's like the size of a 60-room locker room for football compared to a 15-person locker room for basketball is drastically different.
Well, you don't have to have the same scale. You just need
absolutely.
like operation, I think.
Yeah, I would say, but also different schools work for different coaches, different folks. I mean, there's obviously going to be differences in the background when it comes to programs all around, so.
Yeah.
It really just depends. But I do think that is going to become more and more the common trend where allow coaches just to coach so that way they keep their sanity in some aspects. And then when it comes to recruiting, you just go out and recruit the guys that have been shortlisted to them.
Yeah. Yeah. I think you're right. Also, I mean, we've seen a lot of coaches from college try to leave college because they're like, this kind of sucks now. And if you just making it less awful for coaches will kind of keep coaches in place.
It used to be, as far as like college football went, college was the easier job than the NFL. It was less hours. I mean, sure, you had to recruit guys, but at least you knew what was going on day in and day out. Now it seems like the NFL is an easier job. You saw a lot of exodus of guys leaving college programs to take NFL jobs at a lesser level. We even saw a coach leave from a head coaching job to a coordinator job in Chip Kelly. So, I mean, like, there is some aspects of it that are interesting to watch and see what happens. But the game is definitely changing, and the old way is not the current way, and we're starting to see those coaches become less and less known. Like, I believe, just out of curiosity, I kind of just want to see if Clemson's used the portal at all this year.
Football?
Yeah.
Probably not. I bet they have one transfer coming in. That's it.
Last year, that's what they had. They had a quarterback
that didn't play.
Right. I mean, transfer portal.
So that would be my guess is that they don't. Which, by the way, if you're still watching, basketball's about to end. That means we'll probably move on to just off-season talk for football and basketball. Also, a little bit of baseball because college baseball has been going on. It's the middle of the season right now. We're about a month and a half in. So
0 incoming transfers.
Yep, look at that. Yeah.
So it's gonna be a dime.
Have fun going 9-3 again, Dabo.
Yeah. Hopefully we beat them at their place this year.
Yeah. Well, I mean, anything else?
No, really. I mean, good luck to all those in the Final Four. Will we have a champion by the time we next record? Or is the game on Monday?
No, it's on Monday. We will not.
So we
won't know.
We'll know who's in the final. We won't know who has won the next episode. But my picks, South Carolina and UConn.
I'm picking Purdue just because I think they can do it, and I favor variety.
Yeah.
Variety is the spice of life.
And for the women?
Probably South Carolina.
Probably South Carolina. All right. Well, thanks for watching this episode. Hope to see you all next week. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you made it this far.
All right. Bye-bye.